What's up, everybody? I'm here today with a special guest. He's a good friend. I've known him for a couple of years now, and he's going to be helping out with the show, I think, for a while. I don't know for how long, but we shall see. It's just going to be an awesome conversation. It might be about politics, it might not, but it's going to be a fun conversation. Well, hit the bumper.
Mi gente, from Bayamón, Puerto Rico, via Dallas, Texas, it's your boy, the conservative Papi.
So today with me, I have the one and only, the author of our awesome bumper music, Thomas Lightfoot, out of the DFW. How are you, brother?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Nah, man. You're a genius, bro. Dude, thanks so much for helping us out here with the Conservative Papi podcast. I think, adding the music in the beginning of the show has really shaped it up to be something amazing.
Yeah.
So, I think what I wanted to know, how'd you come up with the bumper, man? I know we talked about it, but 12 hours later, you had something beyond my wildest dreams.
Right. Well, that's just kind of what I do. Just make music, but I kind of had an idea of what might fit good with it. I listened to a few episodes, checked them out, and I thought style of music and just kind of something upbeat would sound cool with that. And so, yeah.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, the process wasn't very long. I looked up some, samples of certain genre of music and just made it happen. So here we are.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. So, I know that we met at church, years ago, and we've kind of known each other, been passing for a long time, but I know you're a very talented guy, but I want you to tell the people that might have never heard of you, what exactly do you specialize in? I know that you've been doing a lot of, engineering and and helping other artists, but you do your own music and you have your own YouTube channel.
Right,
so, tell them about you. Tell them what you do and who are your inspirations.
Sure. So I guess really just within the past year and a half, actually moved to Dallas. I was living in Irving for a while, and I moved to Dallas, just kind of in search and kind of chasing the songwriter and kind of dream. So I moved down there, and I think it just kind of changed, and I kind of had a heart just to help artists, especially those that are local and that I believe in and kind of want to help out. But I did go to school for recording engineering, and that's just a passion that I've had for a little while now. The way I kind of describe it is like it's everyone wishes they had like a time machine, and I feel like recording and stuff like that, it's literally a time machine. You can go back, you can go forward, you can kind of like retrace, and you can manipulate things. So just to be able to capture a song in time is just a really unique and kind of just an awesome thing to me. But yeah, I did start out just playing guitar and then writing my own songs. Probably when I was about 18 or so, wrote one of my first songs. And just ever since then, I've just been just kind of going head first into the music world, especially in Dallas. So it's a great scene in Dallas, and just meeting a lot of people. I got to learn and kind of get my feet wet with recording and stuff like that. So.
Oh, that's, I've seen your growth in the last couple of years, and, up close, and we've known, like I said, we've known each other for a few years, and it's amazing. It's amazing. My wife, she can't do but talk great things about your music, awesome. and so I kind of wanted to lead this. What are your influences? What artists, past, present, that you really look towards for inspiration? We've talked about in private. I'm a huge Latin music guy. I like old school guys like Hector Lavoe. I like La Fania. Some of the more urban guys. I hate to say it, but Daddy Yankee, Wisin y Yandel, and some of the newer guys like Ozuna and stuff like that. But you, to me, you have this style kind of like John Mayer, Bruno Mars. You have more of that contemporary style. But I love how you're so open to different genres. So man, who inspires you?
So it's no coincidence you said John Mayer, and that's somebody that I've been listening to and admiring and almost mimicking for a while now. But, I even share some of the same heroes that he has, like Eric Clapton and C. Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix. And I think when it comes to that style of music, it's just the passion and the soul behind it. It's not just some fancy melody that someone just decided to come up with that just sounded pretty, but something that comes kind of deeper than that. So yeah, those are kind of the guys that I kind of look for, like blues and soul and just music that it's not just pleasing to the ears, but kind of pleasing to your soul. And typically get much radio play, but I'm not too heavy into pop music. Just like it's stuff that will speak to me. So.
Hey man, I love it. It's I love the indie scene.
Yeah.
One of my good friends from Miami, I don't know if you know them. Her name is Kelsey Barron. She's an indie artist as well. Mm-hmm. She's an amazing, talented person, and she's one of the ladies that when she heard I moved out here, she was like, check out the local music scene. Yeah. It's ridiculous,
yeah.
and out of Miami, and she's awesome and all that. But really, what do you think about the more old school cats like Carole King, Steven Tyler, all these guys? Do you find influence in them as well?
Yeah. Like I said, like the early guys. C. Ray Vaughan is probably,
That's a Texas guy, isn't he?
Oh yeah. He's from Oak Cliff, so basically where I'm staying at, so in Dallas. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy who kind of that a lot of my heroes kind of mimic and stuff, and so from there, yeah.
That's awesome. Now, my question is to you:
Mm-hmm.
How much does pop culture and what's going on in the current world stage influence your music? Because it's easy to be compartmentalized and be like, and write a bunch of love songs, right?
Yeah.
But I think to cross over into the mainstream, you need to commentate on what's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. It's just part of life. And
Mm-hmm.
how much of that influences you?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to pay attention to stuff like that and to feel emotion with things that are happening in the world. And so there's a Marvin Gaye song that I sing, at my shows pretty frequently. It's called "What's Going On," and the first line says, "Mother, mother, mother, there's far too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying." And saying just, I think the next part says, we have to find a way to bring some love in here today. And it just, that song was written years ago, and it just feels like that could have been written today. And it's just, the same concept that, just seems like there's so much hate and stuff going on in the world that just feels like there needs to be more love and to like show more love and stuff like that. So.
Oh no, 100. I think Marvin Gaye is one of the all-time greats and writing
Mm-hmm.
timeless music.
Right.
Exactly. That's one of my favorite songs. I think it's on my phone right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I really want to dig into what you're also doing, because you're also an entrepreneur, right? Yeah. I think to be, a musician, you kind of have to have an entrepreneurial mindset and a heart mm-hmm. to really build not only your brand but mm-hmm. other people's.
Yeah.
And I think I'd like to know, what do you think for millennials and mm-hmm. people coming up now, what are their challenges and advantages compared to generations past?
Yeah. I think there's a ton of pros and cons with the era that we live in with technology and just everything being at the palm of your hands, basically. But I guess for anybody listening who's a songwriter or in that industry, it's kind of hard. You kind of have to wear a ton of hats, especially starting off as an artist. You got to be your manager. You have to be your own producer. Sometimes you have to learn and be your own, recording engineer. So there's a lot of stuff to learn, and it's not impossible. That's for sure. A lot of the things that I learned was just along the way. I've picked up books about like management. I had mentors and stuff. But I think one of the biggest things that has taught me a lot, was YouTube. Like, you can get on the internet and you can literally learn anything. So
I think that's how most people get started now, right? They go, hey, I want to start a podcast. Let's go to a YouTube channel and see how to start a podcast.
Type in, how do I start a podcast? And
I think that's the best tool for young entrepreneurs is to, listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos. But I think this is something that you've been through, and so have I, is mentorship. I think mentorship is one of the biggest keys to success, not only in the music industry, but in any industry. And that's something I really want to dig into. How has a mentor really helped you come along, not only as a person, but as a man, as an artist, as a businessman?
Right. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most important things that you could have, like you're saying, especially someone who's in the same line of work and maybe even believes the same things that you believe. Just having somebody there that you can kind of lean on. For me, I lost my dad when I was really young, and so I was able to fall back on and kind of rely on a lot of the guys at church I was going to at the time. They taught me a lot, and they kind of took me under their wings. And just, in a world where it can kind of get pretty easy to just fall to the wayside, or just kind of like, I don't know, just lose your foundation. I was grateful for those guys who kind of kept me up and kept me level-headed. So yeah, it makes a world of a difference. I was just talking to a buddy of mine who worked at a church camp one year, and he was just telling me how a lot of the problems just stem from not having a father figure or somebody like that in their lives. And I just feel like that's where a lot of things stem from, and I think that's the epidemic that we're dealing with today is the fathership, and just not having it there, and not having good role models to look for.
Now, pop culture, and if you listen to a lot of the mainstream media, will echo what you're saying, right? There's, the feminist attack on the man. They're saying, there are creeps out there. You just look at the news in the last several weeks and all these sex scandals. That's a fault on the person. It's
like every week.
It's every week, right? Yeah. From Harvey Weinstein to Franken, and now this weirdo from Oklahoma.
Right.
But I think you hit the nail on the head when you say the absence of male role models and male father figures, and or actually a father in the home.
Right.
Now, my question is, at least for this part of things, how much does culture, as far as 2017 is concerned, have anything to do with the absence of the father? Because for me, right, you're married, I'm married, so, and I grew up with my dad in the house, and he, even though he traveled a lot, he was a huge influence on me. Right. He helped me become the man that I am today, and shaped a lot of my views.
Yeah.
Now, he wasn't the deciding factor, but he shaped a lot of the things that I believed in. Now, you mentioned, there's people in church that helped you become this person you are today.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what about those who don't have that? How does society combat that absence? The absence of a father, the absence of a male role model. How do they, because that is very prevalent today, especially in cities like Dallas, Miami, New York.
Yeah.
Where they do live in less off places. We're not saying it's impossible to make it, but we're just saying that the odds are not in their favor.
Right. Well, I think we've definitely come to the conclusion that it is a problem, and I guess statistics will show just kind of how someone's life will turn out with and without having a father there. So I think it's cool, being in Dallas where they figured these types of things out, and they've done things to kind of combat that with, I don't know any organizations or anything, but I've heard stuff on the radio where they'll kind of take in, kids who are either in poverty or without a father, and they'll kind of take them in and kind of mentor them and kind of be with them. But I don't know, maybe we're not doing enough, or I don't know, it's definitely a problem.
Oh no, it's always going to be a problem. I mean, you know, we're both Christians, so, you know, Jesus said that there's always going to be the poor and there's always going to be the rich. And just like there's always going to be a widow and there's always going to be a kid without a father. Those are just universal truths.
Right.
But you growing up